with this slide is a very good example again of major and minor truth, and it's a real stunner to do with what's beyond or just behind the surface levels of things which we take for granted, like our bodies and being alive. It's very easy to get familiar with that. But there was something around the time of 2000 that was called the Human Genome Project, and what the scientists were doing was actually analyzing every bit of DNA in the human body. And what they were able to do with the computer technology of the time was then convert that into the letters. The DNA is made up of those 4 base chemicals, but they're in specific orders, like a language. So they were able to, and it took years. It was an almost impossible task, but they managed it. Eventually, they were able to publish the full genome sequence, the exact code of all the human DNA. And you can see in the slide in the middle, there's one volume because they actually printed it out. And at the bottom of the slide, you can see how small the type is that they had to print it out in to fit it all in. But on the right-hand side is a man looking at one volume. That complete library, that complete bookshelf is all of the human DNA printed out at that size.
Wow.
In every cell. So latest estimate is you have about 30 trillion cells in the average human body.
Yeah.
And every cell is that library of coded information. Exact. You can't change one sentence in that book, otherwise the human form is not going to turn out.
You said something earlier when we chatted about it too. You also mentioned that they were looking for a kind of reason why people got sick within this, like there was going to be some sort of central factor. Can you tell us about that again?
Yes, it was part of the motivation, because it started off as a publicly funded project, and that was going too slow. So a private corporation got involved because they thought, wow, we can find a cure to every disease and ailment and problem that human beings have. We can patent each one. We'll be billionaires, So they privately put money, which got the project finished. But the great mystery was that they were not able to find that, and they had to admit that those sorts of things they were looking at are not actually found in the DNA. They must be somewhere else in the process of the human system. So they added enormously to the volumes of minor truth and knowledge in the world, but that major truth they were looking at, which was the cause of all diseases and ailments in the human form, it's not in the DNA. It wasn't where they were looking. It lies somewhere else.
Yeah, it's incredible. When you think also nobody's going to read this, it's the total, it's a total mystery. Like every answer, this is what part of what we have to accept in the search for truth. There are amazing things you discover, amazing things to understand, a lot of help, personal help, a lot of understanding. But there's other things that just lead to greater mysteries, like how much was pumped in for the appearance of the human.
Yes, and this is the thing about what's universal, or rather than use the word common, what's universal to all humans, is it seems to be inbuilt somewhere in all of that puts the human together to seek the truth, to try and understand. That's really what history is. It's the results of humans right back through the ages, trying to understand why they're here, what's important to know, what's not important to know. And this is why major and minor truth is such an excellent lever into that, to bring things down to earth, to make it more simple, to get a grasp on it. And, that gives you some kind of home base with which to keep coming back to, which I think, as you mentioned earlier, Colin, is absolutely essential to the mental health and the well-being, is to have some solid core to come back to and to work out from, which is what teachers like Plato and Leonardo da Vinci and Lao Tzu, the famous Chinese philosopher, this was the big message. Base yourself in these core laws, which are part of nature that humans haven't created. And in that is the sanity and the the nutriment and the well-being that belongs with the human, because they're naturally meant to be together.
And a very simple starting place, anybody watching this and finding it intriguing, is to get a piece of paper and a pen and draw a dividing line down the page and start writing out minor truths, like things that are temporary, true but an opinion. And of course, there's no end to it, but it's good to start getting some territories like politics and who's
Fashion.
running a country and fashion and all these types of things. Quite a lot of science even goes in there, because science are changing their view and theory on how things are. If you think about how many people believe the world was flat, it was a fact, 1,000 years ago, and now nobody believes it. So on the other side, major truths, and there are these laws, there are qualities, there's the electromagnetic spectrum and the electromagnetic worlds, the energy worlds, which is why we bring them in very quickly into the Ruby Mountain studies. So we have to start winding up, Darren. Just to say again, if anybody's watching and intrigued by this, go to the site, www.rubyemountain.org, or get in touch with us and see and find out more about what we do, what we study. We've got a lot to share whilst we ourselves continue on the journey of research and discovery.
Yep.
But we thought a nice way to wind up is one of these major truths expressed in a particular time, a particular place, which is really the law of two. And of course, one of the confusions is people call the same truth by different names at different places.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you get, over here it's seasons, and over here it's biorhythms, and over here it's the tetramorph, but they're talking about the law of four.
Yeah.
So that would be a great way to finish, Darren, if you wouldn't mind reading through this expression of the law of two.
Yeah, sure. Okay, this is a writing from the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, and he lived in China in the 6th century BCE. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations. These two spring from the same source, but differ in name. This appears as darkness, darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. Lao Tzu.
So often when a person hears or sees a major truth, they get touched very deeply, don't they?
Yeah.
They know there's something about that, but unless we make a conscious decision to become in pursuit of these truths, we tend to be moved back into minor truths pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it's great to stop, as we've done now, to stay focused on it for some time. And it's always good to talk to you, Darren. Thank you for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. It's a great topic. And
come to Brazil sometime.
I would like to. It's so cold. It's winter here at the moment. All right. Thank you, Colin.
Okay, so we'll see you again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.